this time, we're going to call the meeting to order. This special meeting of the Pike County Fiscal Court has been called because the regular meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at 10 a.m., Tuesday the 21st. Of course, that's election day, and this room is used for voting. So we will be having most of our business conducted today and then back on our regular schedule in June. And at this time, I would like to request that Frankie Stacy, if you would say the invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings you've bestowed on us in life. Lord, watch over us during this meeting. Bless us with wisdom to carry out the business of the fiscal court. And all this we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Here.
Commissioner Booth?
Here.
We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. We have Mike May. Mike, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir? Thank you, sir. The first matter on the agenda is a presentation by Assured Partners. This is the insurance company that the county has chosen to purchase its workers' comp and liability coverage from. And as we discussed at one of the last meetings, it will be a substantial savings. Mr. Stafford, would you please sit down? Ma'am, please welcome to the court. We're going to be moving rather quickly, and we're going to try to rush through this. I hate doing something this important, but we have quite a bit of business today in a very short time period. Sure. First of all, congratulations on opening an office here in Pike County.
Thank you.
We would encourage you to open an office outside the city limits in the county, since I think this is one of your first clients here.
Sure.
But Mr. Stafford, please just introduce yourself. And is it Ms. Pickup? Is that okay? And please introduce yourself for the purpose of the record. And then we're going to start off with some questions about the judge.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Judge Jones, for the invite to today's meeting. My name is Joey Stafford, and I'm an insurance agent for the Assured Partners Group. Recently, the court appointed us to implement and service the county's property and casualty insurance program. A premium number was initially given, was agreed upon, and I'm here today to advise that since we have received a workers' compensation quote through Brick Street Insurance that is $31,029 cheaper than what we previously proposed and the court accepted. So we're grateful to be in front of the court and want to be transparent that we received a lower quote, would encourage the court to accept said quote, and I am asking for permission for the appropriate paperwork to be signed. And I'm thrilled to be able to bring these savings to the fiscal court, which I believe, and I believe the people in the room know that you're doing everything that you can to cut expenses. With that, I'd like to introduce Kathy Pickup from Brick Street.
Hi, my name is Kathy Pickup. I am an underwriter for Brick Street Insurance. I work out of my home in Kentucky. Really was thrilled to have an opportunity to look at your insurance program, your workers' compensation program specifically this year. I've seen such dramatic change. It's something I've looked at for several years, and Justin and Reggie have done just a wonderful job implementing some programs and really working to shift the culture and drive a culture of safety among your employees. And so I felt it was a really great time for Brick Street to partner with you folks to keep your employees safe, to add additional resources so that Justin and Reggie have some more manpower behind the efforts that they're taking, and that's why we were able to offer such a competitive quote.
One other thing, just briefly, as you know, the county's current insurance company had a history of insuring at least one property that didn't exist, overvaluing other properties. The airport was insured twice, two different policies through the same agency. And former Deputy Judge Executive Brian Morris did catch that. But you have taken on yourself, Mr. Stafford, to go out with your father, who's a retired insurance executive,
Correct.
to look at some of the properties to see if they are valued accurately.
Sure.
Because am I correct that the higher the insured value, the higher the premium?
Correct.
And one of the things that you brought up was, for instance, the pool facility at Hardy Park
Correct.
was insured at $800,000.
Over 800,000, yes, sir.
And I think virtually anyone, our public works supervisors here, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that that is a substantially elevated figure for a block building that has a couple shower rooms and restrooms and a concession stand.
Yes, sir.
With a picnic shelter on top of it. You also mentioned the swimming pool at Phelps, which has been closed for some time.
Correct.
That probably, as I understand it, is not even mechanically able to be opened, is valued at $300,000.
Yes, sir.
So you're also looking at the vehicle fleet to make sure that everything is on the insurance policy and that everything is fairly valued.
Correct.
What potential? And I'm not wanting to put you on
Sure.
on the spot, but
Right.
what type of savings do you anticipate that once you go through and get an accurate valuation on these properties and vehicles and equipment? What further reduction do you think we could realize in the next fiscal year?
I would say anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000.
So we're somewhere between the Brick Street reduction below the Keamy quote.
Correct.
So we're going to be.
I'm not even including that. So
it would be 31,000 plus another 25 to 40,000.
Yes, sir.
All right. That clearly proves that this court made the right decision by moving the insurance company. Mr. Treasurer, we've already voted to accept their proposal. I don't think that another vote would be necessary, even though the premium is going to be lower. Would you be in concurrence with that? All right. Mr. Stafford, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming before the court. We will have you coming back, but
Yes, sir.
I think I can speak on behalf of the members of the court that we want you to make sure that we're not paying one penny on any property or vehicle or equipment that does not accurately reflect the true value of that item, because we're just in lean financial times.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that.
In closing, Judge Jones, I will be here. We've got about 60 more locations. Paul helped me hit about 10 today, and I am realizing that Pike County is by far the largest land county in our state.
Well, if you get lost, you might want to take somebody with you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. I want to move around on just one. There's a couple things I want to address. I want to go ahead and make some comments as a county judge, a little bit out of order. Last week on May 7th, we had a presentation by Roy Sawyers and Mike Spears. Roy is the superintendent for the Mountain Water District. Mike is the CPA. Yesterday, the Mountain Water District Board of Directors had a special meeting to clarify some statements that were made. Basically, it's been my understanding that the attorney for the board has produced a press release. And we went over, Mr. Hickman and Mr. Ratliff, myself, and Commissioner Tackett went to this meeting. And it was obvious that the meeting was done in a way to try to change the dialogue, to try to show that the statements that Mr. Sawyers and Mr. Spears made were not accurate. I believe that when Mr. Spears and Mr. Sawyers came before this court, that they were 100% truthful with the answers that they gave, and they're on the record, first of all, clarifying some of the false statements that have been repeated time and time again against the former contract management company, Utility Management Group. And I want to just on the record say something unequivocally, that no one on this court, nor myself, has ever mentioned trying to get Mountain Water to use a contract, whether it's UMG or someone else. We would hope that when this term is over with, that we're going to be able to put a board in place, have strong financial leadership, strong management skills, and they would be able to run the district. But the district has historically been a place for people to get political jobs, nieces, grandsons, relatives. And that has no place in a public utility. I can also tell you that under no circumstance would UMG take it back. I think that the people who run and work for UMG feel that they were maligned, that they were vilified for no reason. And, you know, this is a local company. They do the city of Pikeville's utilities. They do a fantastic job. There's never been any type of controversy. And just recently, the Public Service Commission asked that company to take over the management of the Southern Water District, which is one of the worst managed districts in the state. They've also been contacted about taking over the Martin County Water District. And I think that the concern that we have as a fiscal court is that we have a role to play in exercising oversight over a board that has been created by county government that's appointed by the fiscal court. And I'm not sure that the prior courts have exercised much oversight. In fact, the current Mountain Water Board is trying to secure a $3 million loan from Rural Development to replace meters, the radio read meters that were installed in 2005 that only had a 10-year life expectancy. And you know, it was sort of done the way the fiscal court has operated. No reserves were set aside to replace this infrastructure when it was worn out. So now the district's having to scramble to try to get a loan from Rural Development. And we have had conversations, and Ms. Hall would verify this with the press, that the district has been in the process of trying to secure a long-term loan, a 40-year loan, to buy these meters. And part of the reason that they're doing a long-term loan is because if they go less than 40 years, they can't get any grant money. So there is a reason that they may go longer. But it does show a failure to plan, and that's exactly the testimony that Mr. Sawyers gave here before this court. And I would hope, and I would counsel the members of the Mountain Water District Board of Directors not to take retaliatory steps against Mr. Spears or Mr. Sawyers for coming before the court and expressing their opinions. That could very easily be construed as violating their rights. Now, let me say this. Rather than paying an attorney to write a press release to try to clarify statements that were made in the fiscal court, the Mountain Water District needs to do what the fiscal court's doing. We're trying to develop a capital plan, and a capital plan is a plan that sets forth what the needs of the entity are, when the item's needed, how much it's going to cost, and you have to do a long-term plan, and you have to start putting money aside to implement that plan. And Mountain Water District is a large district. It was incorporated in 1986, and it was a merger between the Pond Creek Water District, the Marbone Water District, and the Shelby Valley Water District. You're talking infrastructure that is well over 30 years old. Some of it's probably closer to 40 years old or older. A lot of that infrastructure has to be replaced. And the bad thing is, it doesn't appear that there has been adequate money set aside to take care of some of the more pressing issues. Currently, and these are numbers that I'll be happy to share these with the press, there is currently an operations and maintenance reserve balance set aside in the amount of $178,735. That is a drop in the bucket when you consider the long-term needs of this district. And I do question sustainability. Yesterday in that meeting, the chairman of the Mountain Water District acknowledged that the district had lost 1,700 plus customers in a 24-month period. That means that there are fewer ratepayers paying the bill to support a district that is one of the largest geographical districts, if not the largest, in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. $178,735. If you go back and look at the financial records, I took a copy over to the newspaper. From 18 to 19, their cash on hand had declined, and the net operating loss had increased substantially. I think last year it showed that the net loss was about $660,000. So we've got to make sure that long-term that the Mountain Water District does not go the way that the Martin County Water District and the Southern Water District have gone. Right now, the line loss for the Mountain Water District is 32%. And according to the website, Mountain Water delivers 80 to 90 million gallons a month to its customers. That means that 30 million gallons a month are lost in line loss. And the district has no comprehensive plan to address that. That 32% is more than twice what is acceptable under the PSC guidelines. So we're not trying to pick a fight or to get into some type of confrontation with the Mountain Water District. But this court will exercise its oversight role. This court will make sure that Mountain Water is sustainable. But to only have $178,000 in cash reserves is not acceptable. And I want to go back. When Utility Management Group took over, there was about $64,000 in reserves for operations and maintenance. Currently, the district has about $12 million in debt, and in restricted reserves, which are reserves that the district can't spend, there's about $1.7 million. So it's sort of like the money that we've saved to close the landfill. We have that money in the bank, but we can't spend it for anything other than closing the landfill. Well, they have a similar situation. So we would hope that the Mountain Water District Board would, instead of spending money to hire an attorney to draft a press release, that they would take the time and sit down and look at what the long-term needs of the Mountain Water District are and find a way to come up with the money to meet those needs. So I appreciate your indulgence on that. We probably will have more to say about this. And again, we would like to sit down and work with the Mountain Water District. We invited the Mountain Water representatives to come to the meeting. The board members, if they would like to address the court, are always welcome to come. And we have an open door policy with regard to quasi-governmental entities, particularly those that we have a role in appointing and overseeing. All right, the next matter, would any of the members of the court like to comment on that issue? Would either one of you all like to comment on this issue? Okay, thank you. The next matter on the agenda is the approval of the Pike County Sheriff's Office request regarding the 2018 surplus. Mr. Stacy, I think we received a check in on that. Is that correct? For $187,165.98 that we had told the sheriff that we would return to him once it was received. Is that correct? Yes. All right. Is there a motion to return the Sheriff's Office 2018 surplus to that office? That amount is $187,165.98.
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a USDA Rural Development Grant application, the amount of $50,000 to be used for constructing a truck bay extension for the Shelby Valley Volunteer Fire Department number 3 station, and approval to execute all related documents. I'm not going to ask Sharon to come up. This is the project that we've worked quite extensively on. This will save us about $35,000 in coal severance tax because we were able to get the grant, and it will provide more money to do the project. I think I'm stating that correctly. Isn't that correct, Sharon? So we'll end up with a total of $62,500 to do the project as opposed to the $47,000 while using less coal severance tax. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution and approve execution of all related documents for the USDA Rural Development Grant application for the Shelby Valley Volunteer Fire Department?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of a resolution in support of the waste tire grant for grant period July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and authorization to execute all documents. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson, and this is the grant that we receive every year to help with waste tire disposal. I think it's $4,000. That is, again, it helps, but I think we have probably spent somewhere over $60,000 already this year in disposing of waste tires. There has been a draft ordinance that has been circulated to deal with waste tires. It's something that Commissioner Tackett's worked on, and we're going to try to get that moving and get that in place here in the next few court meetings. So is there a motion to adopt the resolution to approve execution of all related documents for the waste tire grant for grant periods July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and authorization to execute the documents? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. I'm sorry. If there's no question or discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Trying to move this as quick as we can. We've got a long agenda. Next matter is the adoption of resolution support of FEMA Kentucky Division of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation application for the Pond Creek Acquisition and Bank Stabilization Project and approval to execute all related documents. I think this is the project that impacts Frank Scott's house up just past the mouth of where Ball Fork comes out, where the creek is eroding into several property owners' yards. It's already into the very close to one structure. Is that correct, Mr. Kaiser? It's under it already. And I know that this is a problem that if it's not addressed rather quickly, jeopardizes several homes. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution and approve execution of all related documents for the FEMA Kentucky Division of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Grant in the amount of, I think that is $603,000 and change? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of resolution in support of the Kentucky Homeland Security Law Enforcement Protection Program grant in the amount of $16,451.85 for duty weapons and ammunition for the Pike County Sheriff's Office, and authorization for the Judge Executive to execute all related documents. I think this is fairly self-explanatory. If there's no questions, I would call for a motion to adopt the resolution and approve the execution of all related documents. We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next matter on the agenda is the adoption of a resolution in support of the Kentucky Homeland Security First Responder Program grant in the amount of up to $60,000 for a remote control robot for the Pike County Emergency Management, and authorization for the Judge Executive to execute all related documents. Is there a motion? Is there a second? We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson, a second by Commissioner Tackett. Doug, could you just come up briefly? I want just to address a matter. Would you just briefly explain what this grant is and what the purpose of this robot would be?
Okay, the purpose of the robot is to be able to send it into a place where we would normally have to send a responder, either dressed in a chemical suit or an environmentally closed suit, into a hazardous atmosphere, hazardous area. Some of the examples we've had before, we had a suspicious package that came into the federal courthouse a few years ago. We had to dress people in suits to send them in to retrieve the stuff to get samples of. We had to do that at the Belfry Post Office one year. We've had another incident at the Child Welfare Office. We've had to do that. We've had several hazardous materials incidents where it would have been handy to send them in to get samples, or even just take videos back to us so we could see what's going on and keep people out of harm's way.
Well, first of all, I think it's a very good project. It is Homeland Security grant money. I want to thank you and the members of the Emergency Management Office for your work last week going down and helping with the search for the young boy that was missing in McGoffin County. A lot of people don't know that you were down there. We received great news when he was found, and it was 2 members of the Belfry Volunteer Fire Department who went down and assisted with that search to help find the child. And by the grace of God, he was in good shape and unharmed. So we appreciate what you do, and thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Robertson and a second by Commissioner Tackett for adoption of a resolution in support of a Homeland Security First Responder Program grant in the amount of up to $60,000 for a remote control robot for Pike County Emergency Management, authorization for the judge executive to execute all related documents. If there's no other question or discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is a second reading of a proposed ordinance amending the Pike County Administrative Code relating to reprimand of hourly and administrative employees in Section 488, employment procedure for hourly employees. Mr. King, would you please give us a second reading and do that just summarily, please?
Yes, on 488, we are going to completely replace the prior provisions of employment procedure and hourly employees with a new provision that's been modeled after the CAECO model rules. Section 488, employment procedure and hourly employees. In summary, it'll deal with the selection and appointment of new employees, the methods of filling vacancies, recruitment, evaluation, certification, the announcement of vacancies, appointments, transfer, and promotion. The document in its full form will be available in the judge's office for anyone that wants to review it. And that is a second reading, so a motion and vote are in order.
All right. We are changing the language regarding employment to mirror the model language that was prepared by CAECO. We think this will help us get better qualified employees to make sure that the people who are hired in these positions are the most qualified individuals. And then we are clarifying one area of the county code relating to the suspension and termination of county employees as it relates to the required reprimands prior to termination. Is there a motion to adopt the proposed amendments to sections 482 and sections 488 of the County Administrative Code?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next matter on the agenda is a first reading of an amendment to the 2018-2019 Pike County Fiscal Court budget. Mr. King, would you please present the first reading? Here you go. Yes. That's it.
we have is an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Whereas Pike County, Kentucky has realized unbudgeted receipts, be it ordained by Pike County of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, current fiscal year 2018-19. The budget for the current fiscal year is amended to increase or decrease the recipients of the following funds and to include unbudgeted receipts from LGEDF, RCC Big Shoulder Recaptured Funds reimbursement is $100,000. LGEDF interest on the recaptured account is $15,000. We've got an interest on the landfill post-closure CD number 5 of $75,000. Landfill CD interest post-closure number 5, $100,000. Again, at the landfill, we've got post-closure CD 8180 for $25,000. In the general fund, we've got a surplus from the prior year of $953,017.71. Road fund surplus from prior year $3,130.30. Jail fund surplus from the prior year $81,011.56. LGEA surplus $852,296.49. Forestry surplus $3,435.84. Solid waste $235,411.78. We've got another landfill CD surplus from a prior year for $3,711,600.67. Maintenance garage surplus from prior year $178,770.20. And then we've got transfers out of the general fund of $800,000. We've got a transfer in from general fund of $100,000. A transfer in for the road fund, $800,000. Solid waste, $1,100,000, and maintenance garage, $400,000 for total amended revenues of $6,333,674.55. See, that is page 1. Page 2, we've got some additional expenditures. General funds reserved for transfer, and all these are reserved for transfer only. General fund, $953,1771. Road, $3,130.30. Jail, $81,011.56. LGEA, $852,296.49. Forestry, $3,435.84. Solid waste, $235,411.78. The landfill CD, as reflected previously, $3,911,600.67. LGEDF, $115,000. Maintenance garage, $178,770. Again, reflecting $6,333,674.55 for total amended expenditures.
All right. That is the first reading of the proposed amendment to the 2018-2019 Pike County Fiscal Court budget. No vote is in order at this time. Thank you, sir. The next matter is the first reading of the proposed 2019-2020 Pike County Fiscal Court proposed budget ordinance. I just briefly want to go back, though. Mr. Stacy, would you just briefly explain the purpose for the amendment to last year's budget?
It's basically a housekeeping issue. Each fund has to have enough revenue in it to balance out the expenses in each fund. The auditors recommended that we add the landfill CDs, which weren't prior to this fiscal year on our financial statements. You know, they were accounted for in the audit, but not on our financial statements, and they recommended that they be there. So $4 million of that budget amendment is to account for the post-closure CDs of the landfill that are now on our financial statements. The other 1.8 is the prior year surplus. We had to amend it in, and like I said, it's just housekeeping. The transfers in and out, those would be necessary, that at June 30, each fund would have enough money in it to have a positive cash balance.
Thank you, sir. The next item, as we said, is the first reading of the 2019-2020 budget. Would you, Mr. Stacy, just walk us through, before I ask Mr. King to give the first reading, walk through the process by which this draft budget has been devised, how we came up with this budget, so you could give us the accountant perspective, and then Mr. Hickman and myself may comment.
Well, we ran like a budget to actual revenue and a budget to actual expenditure report for the last 5 years. Each line item we went through, there were some revenue line items that had been carried over in previous year budgets that we never actually got the money for. So all those line items we took out. The line items that are in there now are actual revenues that we should receive. And on the expenditure side, the same. There were a lot of line items on the expenditure side that, like old cold severance projects, things like that, it padded the expenditure budget forever, but they never actually, they should have been taken out a long time ago. So a lot of cleanup. We analyzed the expenditure side and cut those expenses as close to what we think the actual is going to be for this year. I mean, we cut them about as much as we could.
One of the things that we did, just so I can put this in layman's terms, not being an accountant, is we went back and we looked at every source of revenue that had been budgeted. And we looked to see how much had been budgeted in each budget, and we looked to see how much revenue we actually generated. There were items in the budget, revenue items, anticipated revenue that had never materialized. Some items that had been budgeted had never had any money come in. Other items, there were a few that had been under budgeted. A certain amount was in there, but we had actually been receiving more money. So the first thing we tried to do is make sure that the budget gave us a realistic revenue estimate. Of this $34,017 budget, or $17,000 budget, we wanted to make sure that those were real dollars. We didn't want to underestimate it or overestimate it. If we underestimate the revenue, then we could, end up in a situation where we had to make cuts that were not necessary. On the other hand, if you overstate the revenue, you could get in toward the end of this next fiscal year and have to make some drastic spending reductions. That could impact people, it could impact services, it could impact your fire departments and senior citizen centers. On the other hand, we wanted to make sure also that we cut every item of wasteful spending. We've already made personnel reductions by some changes, Mr. Stacy. What was the total reduction in personnel and benefits? Was it around over 500,000?
It was. We laid off all the seasonals. We cut out a lot of, as people were, like they were being terminated and stuff like that, instead of rehiring another employee, they would just spread those job duties around and not rehire. So those positions got eliminated as well. So
one of the things that we did was all full-time employees were retained. We did eliminate seasonal and temporary workers in order to save money. Every employee that you hire increases your workers' compensation premium, it increases your FICA and Social Security and Medicare, those things. It increases your pension contribution. The pension contribution, I think now is 24.1, is that correct?
24.18, yes.
So for every $100 that we pay in payroll, we pay $24.18 to an additional $24.18 to the retirement system.
Yes.
That doesn't count your Social Security match. So we're trying to find ways to live within our means. And this past week, Deputy Judge Hickman and Mr. Stacy, I think you were able to find another $246,000 in reductions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. King, would you please present the first reading?
What we have, Judge, is an ordinance relating to the approval of the 2019-20 Pike County Fiscal Court budget, seeking approval of total budget appropriations in the amount of $34,017,878.
All right. No motion or vote is in order at this time. We will pass this at the next court meeting. Are there any questions or discussions or comments by the members of the court or any suggested changes or proposals at this time? Commissioner Robertson, anything?
I just want to thank Frankie and Judge Hickman there for reducing a little more money for us. We need that extra money.
Commissioner Booth.
I think they've done an awesome job on this budget. I think we've still got some more budget.
I think it's a work in progress to try to eliminate items. I know Commissioner Booth had some questions about some things that were on the expenditure list that we'll get to here in a few minutes. The one thing I want to mention about this budget, it preserves 100% of the senior citizens funding. It preserves 100% of the funding for our fire departments. And it does not take away or reduce any pay for county workers. I was very concerned when we came in that we would have to roll back the 5% pay raise that the prior administration had given last fall. And, you know, we can talk about whether that was a wise decision to give a 5% across the board pay raise 3 or 4 months after the county lost its credit rating. But nevertheless, we have a lot of county workers that work very hard, and we worked very hard to make sure that we did not have to reduce the pay, because we have some county workers that are certainly underpaid. So I think it is a very positive budget. One thing that the budget did not do is we were very conservative on the revenue for solid waste. We want to make sure that we're going to be able to collect the money that we have, that Geosyntec has stated that we can collect. We want to make sure that revenue materializes. We did not budget anything for new equipment for the road department, for solid waste. We did not budget any money for the expansion of the landfill. We anticipate that that's something that we would likely do in the fall by way of a budget amendment once we have a better idea of where we stand financially. Now, the other issue is we are working to develop a capital plan. We need to know how much money Public Works is going to need over the next 5 or 6 years to take care of the buildings and property that they're charged with maintaining. Fire departments, senior citizens, county playgrounds, county parks. We need to know how much the road department needs for new equipment. We've had significant problems keeping our excavators running. We need to know a realistic estimate of what equipment that solid waste needs. And we need to know how much we're going to have to spend on the landfill. So I anticipate that there will be an amendment to the budget in the fall once we have a better idea and the capital plan's been developed. Commissioner Robertson's worked very hard trying to help us figure out what our equipment and vehicle needs are. Commissioner Tack and Commissioner Booth have worked hard with regard to the road department especially. So appreciate your work on that, and I know that it's going to save money and help us make sure that we can meet the needs of the people of the county. Thank you all. I want to move around a little bit. Mr. Fannin, do you have anything on the bids that need to be awarded? All right. Mr. Little, can we go ahead and do the Pike County Road Supervisors report? Let me back up. I think the first item is the second reading of a proposed ordinance adopting Chick Junior Lane into the county road system. Is that ready? Are we ready to proceed with that?
Yes, we are.
Mr. King, would you just please present the second reading for the court?
Yes, Judge. Notice of intended passage, second reading. Whereas it has been determined to be in the best interest of the public for the Pike County Fiscal Court to formally accept public roads into the Fiscal County road system, and whereas KRS subsection 1B, defines a county road as a public road which has been accepted by the fiscal court into the county road system. Whereas where the fiscal court finds that the 30-foot minimum cannot be met due to the topography of the road or other extraordinary circumstances, the 30-foot width would not be appropriate. Now therefore be it ordained by the fiscal court of Pike County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the following road, being public in nature, being is hereby formally and officially accepted in the Pike County road system and shall hereafter be a part of said system. Road number is District 2, road name is Chick Junior Lane, and the length is 320 feet. Approved by the fiscal court. It's 22nd day we've got noted 22nd day of May 2019, adopted and approved the 7th day of May 2019.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance incorporating Chick Junior Lane at the length of 320 feet into the county road system?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Any question or discussion? Mr. Little, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Thank you. Seeing no question or discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. The next matter is approval of the Pike County Road Commissioner's recommended road maintenance list. And again, this is the same as it was last time. If we sat here and read this, it's going to take quite a bit of time. Have we made any progress about finding a way to put this on Facebook or on the internet so that?
My understanding is that Mr. Hickman is working on us some type of a website or something. Am I correct, Mr. Hickman? Yes. Yeah.
I mean, this is a rather voluminous document for the work that's been done. I want to thank the District 2 road lot because they've had a massive slide to deal with on Little Robinson. They've hauled more than 300 loads of material out.
Last week. 700, around 700 in total.
700 loads. And at Commissioner Robertson's request, I contacted Commissioner Tackett. They were both up there yesterday. I contacted AML through some channels that I had. They do think that it was mine related. There's evidence of mining activity. But I'm not sure it's AML because they've said that there was a permit in there. It was near a permitted area, both surface and underground, and that there was hydrologic evidence that it might be related to mining activity. So they're working on that. I'm not sure what the time frame is. But this is a slide that there could be another 7,000 loads of material that have to be hauled out. Would that be a fair estimate? It's a massive.
Oh, yeah. It's bigger than what you can estimate. I mean, it's huge. It's got a very bad potential to actually seal that hollow off. I mean, if there's 11 residents above it that potentially could be sealed off and blocked. I mean, it's a bad situation.
And I have a number for the gentleman I need you to contact, and I'll give that to you after the meeting or at the break. The concern would be that if that came off, there are homes directly across the road.
Across from the road, yes.
And we had, trees went through the fence in one yard, large trees.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that there's no imminent risk or imminent threat that those homes could be in jeopardy. So that's something that we need to ask the folks in Frankfurt, AML, to come up and look at. And I'm not sure if Doug's been out to look at it, but that may be something that we need Doug to go up and take a look at. Because
actually, Doug is the one with those pictures that you see. That's where that came from. Right. CJ flew that this morning. That's
why I say that we have the best emergency management office in Kentucky, and we're very appreciative of that. If anyone would like to look at these, we'll be happy to leave copies out for the public and for the press if they would like a copy of those. Austin, if you'd like these, I'll be happy to hand them to you right now. So if you,
and Judge, we're also dealing with a slide that our equipment is like Matchbox toys taking care of it too, you know.
And that's another, like he said, I mean, we're working as hard as we can. I mean, that crew up there, I can't say enough for them. I mean, they've worked 3 weekends in a row. I am going to give them a break this next week. We've got another crew that's going to come in and give them a little rest on that, but they've worked very hard on it.
Thank you for your hard work, because you've worked a lot of late hours as well. So the matter before the court is the approval of the Pike County Road Commissioner's recommended road maintenance plan and the summary of the completed work as submitted. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion or comment?
Judge, just on the back on the slide, I don't think that family is representing. They cooperate in every way with us. Whatever we need, they don't come to the front. And, you know, that's a good name for us. Biggest one that I've seen is out of, I think, 57 in District 2, is that probably a good number to say?
Yeah.
I was well up there with one of those. But I don't think the family, they work with us.
Thank you all very much. So the matter before the court is the approval of the Pike County Road Supervisors recommended road maintenance plan and acknowledgement of the completed work. Is there a motion? Already got him. I'm getting ahead of myself again. No other comment or discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Thank you very much. And I'll get that number to you here just momentarily. All right. The next matter we're going to move around again is executive session. We have some personnel matters to discuss, and we have at least a couple of pending or anticipated lawsuits that we need to discuss. And Mr. Keene, I would ask that you explain or read the relevant Kentucky revised statutes relating to the entry into executive session.
We'll need a motion pursuant to KRS 61-810 to enter executive session under subsection C and F to discuss proposed and pending litigation, as well as subsection F, specific personnel matters.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. All right, we will be back. Hopefully this won't take too long, and we appreciate your patience. We are in recess. Is there a motion to adjourn from executive session? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Mr. Maynard, next item on the agenda is the authorization for personnel decisions and approval of salaries. Would you please present the items that were discussed in executive session?
Yes, Judge. There is one item. It is approval to rehire Frankie Stacy as treasurer for the Pike County Fiscal Court for a 4-year term beginning July 1st, 2019 at the current rate of pay. This motion does need to be made by one of the commissioners, as this is a fiscal court appointee.
I make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Frankie has done a fantastic job and probably single-handedly kept the Pike County Fiscal Court from being taken over by the state last year with all the financial problems, and I think we're on the right track. Frankie, you've done a great job, and we appreciate that. If there's no other question or discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. An item on the agenda that we passed over was is there a motion, this is regarding Elk Run Golf Course, is there a motion to institute litigation regarding the contract between the Golf Academy Incorporated, Mr. James Patton, and the Pike County Fiscal Court? We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any question or discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Ma'am, you may go ahead and proceed to the courthouse. Mr. Stacy, let's go ahead and do the Pike County Treasurer's business. And let's go ahead and do the last item on the agenda.
Authorize a check to Anna Pinson Spears, the Pike County Circuit Court Clerk, in the amount of $315.50 for a filing fee of a lawsuit against the Golf Academy and James Patton and Harold Coleman.
All right, Mr. Coleman was not named as a party to the suit.
Okay.
So I'm going to modify the motion. Is there a motion to authorize a check to Anna Pinson Spears, Pike Circuit Clerk, in the amount of $315.50 for filing fee for a lawsuit against the Golf Academy and Mr. Patton? Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Mr. Stacy?
Authorization for an annual standing order for pre-approved certain recurring expenses. It is the last 8 pages of your budget. When the first reading of the budget gets submitted to DLG for approval, we also submit a list of recurring expenses for a standing order. This is so that we can do payroll and pay the fringe benefits without a court order each and every time. But it is the last 8 pages of the budget, and it would require the judge to sign that as well.
Is there a motion for authorization of an annual standing order to pre-approve certain recurring expenses for the 2019-2020 fiscal year? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Mr. Stacy?
Authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated May 16, 2019, plus any other utility and telephone bills received before we run checks next week.
I know that this has been provided to the members. Have the members had an opportunity to review the expenditure list, and do any of the members have questions? Commissioner Tackett? Commissioner Booth had some questions, and I think that
I will review those before we do cut the checks to make sure that those are last month and this month's separate invoices.
Mr. Stacy's probably not used to having members of the court ask questions about the expenditure list and what bills are being paid. But that is something new for the fiscal court. Judge Hickman, do you have anything on this?
I do not.
The matter before the court is authorization to pay expenditure approval list dated May 16, 2019, and any other utility and telephone bills received before the checks are run. Is there a motion? A motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second. A second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes.
The last item I have would be to acknowledge receipt of the sheriff and the clerk's 2550 report for April 2019.
Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the sheriff and clerk's 2550 report for April 2019? We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any other question or discussion? Frankie, can you just answer a question for me? When we see the 2550s with a negative cash balance, what's the significance of that?
Which one are you looking at?
Either one, either or.
A lot of it is timing. Basically, the state lets them run on a negative balance until they get their, once the property tax bills goes out, especially the sheriff, then once his 25% collection fees get added back, then he comes back to a positive balance. But basically,
So the state's
they can run a monthly bill and run in the negative as long as they stay within budget for the year of what their expenses are.
Okay. I'm just curious. That's a little bit different than the way that the fiscal court operates.
Yes, the state pays their bills for them.
And then,
Yes.
if there's no other question or discussion, the matter before the court is the acknowledgement of the sheriff and clerk's 2550 reports for April 2019. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes. Make sure I've not skipped over anything else.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Stacy. And again, congratulations on your hiring as the Pike County Treasurer.
Commissioners, appreciate it.
Thank you. The next matter before the court is the Pike County Department Supervisors' comments. Ms. Thacker, do you have anything?
Want me to tell you what I've done today?
Yes, come on up. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I know where you've been.
I'm Diana, and I supervise the Community Services Office and the 8 senior citizen centers in Pike County. You all know I don't like to have to get up here and talk, but I have been at Jenny Wiley Park with 5 counties. It's the Big Sandy Senior Games, and Pike County had over 100 participants there, aging from age 50 to 99. 99. We had several that was 92, 94, but we have one little lady that's 99 from Belfry. They did really good. 3 other counties had someone to get injured. It wasn't real bad injuries, but Pike County didn't have anybody injured. And we had a wonderful day. It's an inspiration to go and watch all of them walk and try to win medals. That's what the purpose is to win their medals. And May the 29th is the banquet, and that's when they find out what medals they won. But one court meeting, a day court meeting, when it's not a real busy one, I'd like to bring them and let them all get up and introduce each center. I don't say everybody's name, but introduce each center. And you all see all their medals around their neck. It's been wonderful. Had a good day.
We appreciate, Judge Hickman and I had to do some training at the ad district, and we know that games are going on. We couldn't get over there, but we'd like to recognize the seniors that participated at the appropriate time. If you could arrange that, either to have them come here, or we could have something at one of the senior citizen centers. And as you know, this court is very committed to our senior program.
I know that, sir.
And
We thank you.
And you weren't here when we gave the budget the first reading, but it preserves all the funding, the $600,000 for the senior citizen centers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Because you said, I think, participants for the games were 50 and up. Well, I'll hit that number this year, so I'm rapidly closing in on qualifying for the games.
Well, to be eligible, I can't wait to watch you down there with those 99-year-olds.
That may be the only way I can win a race. Well, Commissioner Tackett's worked very hard, so what
Yes.
that alludes to is looking for other sources of funding and other sources of food for the senior citizens program. You know, it may get to where we have to do that, but we were able to do, and this court came in with the notion that we were going to take care of our fire departments and senior citizen centers. And in these lean economic times, I think that's a remarkable accomplishment, given the fact that this budget's somewhere near $1 million below the last budget. And there's a lot of federal, even though the budget's $34 million, there's a lot of FEMA money and other federal funds that are restricted in this budget. So again, we appreciate your hard work, and you've done a great job, and you keep up the good work.
We appreciate you all too. We thank you very much. And I would like to say that, you know, we do bingo for fundraising, and our nights were Tuesday and Friday, Thursdays. And so we changed Tuesday night to Friday night, and it's doing better.
Great.
So maybe that will bring in some more funding for us too.
We appreciate it. Keep up the good job. Thank you very much.
Make sure you tell Eugene that we got the money in the senior citizens. I know he'll be back here wanting more money, but
Yes, he will.
make sure we tell him we got him that money.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Fan, anything? No, sir. Ms. Vanover? Mr. Rouse? Mr. Hensley? Larry, you're doing a good job at the landfill. We appreciate that very much. Mr. Tackett? And we've got Ms. Hall. Anything? Mr. Kaiser?
Yeah, Judge,
they had supposed to have the engineering done on the Pompey Road at the first of last week, have it done so they could start on the blacktopping and stuff. So look any day for the bid to come out on the blacktop the road at Pompey and finish it up. Just any day.
All right. Maybe one day next week you and I can try up there and take a look at it.
All right.
Thanks you're doing a great job too. You're on the work that you're doing. I know that Mr. Scott, back when Judge Deskins was in office, he and I rode up to Pond Creek and looked at that project, and there was really not much I could do through the state Senate. But Judge Deskins and I took the opportunity to go over there, and so that is an important project. The mitigation projects and flood proofing, those projects have been instrumental in helping a lot of people in this county. We appreciate your hard work on that.
Jimmy, how wide is that road supposed to be? Is it just a single lane road? Is that the way it is up there?
I think it was designed to be 12 feet with like a 2-foot shoulder or something like that. Yeah, was designed more like a park road than a regular road.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a big wide 2-lane road. It's smaller.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Little, anything? Did you make that phone call for me at the internet? Okay, would you just?
I was just waiting on a return call.
Okay.
Only thing I would like to say is I'd just like to ask everyone to be patient with the road department. I'm having to pull men from other crews over to help on this slide at Little Robinson, so it's kind of hindering us on every crew. I know the weeds are growing. Everybody's complaining about weeds. We're trying our best to get to them as fast as we can. Maybe next year we can have us a different system in place, but we're trying.
Well, I've asked folks on the Pike County Report Show, and if people would like to tune into that, and we're trying to do a program. We've had Judge Hickman on it. We're going to have one of the commissioners, try to have one of the commissioners or one of the department supervisors on there to update folks about what's taking place. But we've asked people to be patient with the amount of rain we've had. We're still trying to recover from the storm damage and the disaster declaration damage, and the weeds are, of course, if it's just hard with as much roadway that we have to take care of with a limited number of people to get to that. I mean, you're patching potholes, you're repairing embankment failures, cleaning up slides, and then trying to cut weeds and, clean ditches and all the other work that's being done. But if there are questions, would you tell the folks the number they can call to your office?
606-432-6230.
Or the judge's office at 432-6247.
6247, yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Next matter is the Pike County Assistant County Attorney's comments. Mr. King, anything? Thank you. We have no public comment. The next item on the agenda is the Pike County Deputy Judge Executive's comments. Mr. Hickman.
None today, Judge.
Next item on the agenda is the Pike County Commissioner's comments. Let's just start at the end. Commissioner Tackett, would you please, in part of your comments, explain about the program that you're working on that will take place on Monday, May 20th? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Robertson, you've had a rough couple weeks, but are on the mend, I see.
I just want to, I just want to express, this road lot number 2, Jason's lot up there. I mean, they've worked for 3 weeks solid. And if you would see that slide, you would just hate to go up there every day. I don't know how they do it, They take how many loads you've took out? 700 loads?
Yeah,
700 loads out of that place, and it don't look like you've moved an inch of dirt.
No.
And I mean, those guys are wore out, I want to thank them for what they do, and I want to, if Bob Edmonds from Rattlers Creek's listening to me, tell you, we will be out there just as soon as we can. As soon as we get some of these slides cleaned up, I promise you we'll be out there and clean your ditches up. And we've got that cruise in Sunday night at Pike Central. Starts at 4:30, Jason?
4:30.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to come, bring their old car. If they just want to come and look at the cars, make sure they come out and look at it. Thank you.
And this don't cost the taxpayers a dime.
No.
It's just something we've put together with the court, just to let people enjoy something, show what the people of this county can do with cars. I mean, there's trucks, it's unbelievable. It blows my mind every time I pull into one of these cruise ins and see what they can do with these old cars.
Commissioner Booth.
Yeah, Judge, I'd like, the rest of these fellas, I'd like to thank our road crews for what they've done. I'd like to thank Paul Wimpson. He's done a lot here lately. We had the ribbon cutting for the Station 3 over at Hardy Park for the Belfry Fire Department. I thought that was very successful. It just, that just shows you where your coal servants' tax dollars is used there. Out of 60 calls, 38 of them since that station had opened had come out of that station. So that's, I think that's real good success there. And for all the volunteer firefighters that have to put in, I don't think people understand how many hours of training they have to have. From 150 hours to 400 hours to they have to have their annual 20 hours a year training that all the time they put into it. So I'd like to thank all of our volunteer firefighters that's out there. We really appreciate them. And I thought the ribbon cutting was a very good success. And I also thought Jamie Evans done a good job on the national anthem. She really done a good job. She's real nervous about it, but I thought she done an excellent job. And I'd like to thank her. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner. My remarks are going to be very brief. First of all, we have had a very productive meeting today. We want to express our appreciation to all the poll workers who will go to the polls on May 21st in the primary election. It takes a lot of work, and we appreciate individuals being willing to step up and do that. We have several items of business that will be on the next agenda. The main item, besides adopting the budget, will be discussion of how we move forward with our adventure tourism initiative and trail development. On Monday, Judge Hickman went to the meeting of the Kentucky Mountain Recreational Authority in Frankfort. You know, since it was started in the legislature in 2001, the state's been talking about doing a trail system, and we're just way behind West Virginia. We're going to see what we can do. The first thing we have to do is figure out how we're going to put a committee together, who gets to make the appointments, how many people are going to be on it, when they're going to meet, are we going to stagger the terms, those kind of things. So there's some thought that has to be put into that over the next couple weeks, but we're going to move forward with it. We've got to figure out, you know, how best to approach this. Money had been appropriated by the legislature in the past when I was in office. The court never moved forward with it. And this is not an easy chore. And it's going to take quite a bit of work. It's going to take a lot of elbow grease. It's going to take a lot of footwork. There's got a lot of research that has to be done. And we have to figure out how we move forward with retaining the services of an engineering firm or land company to try to help put this together. The other thing is, yesterday, Judge Hickman and myself, Commissioner Tackett, we went up to the, Mr. Ratliff in the judge's office went up to the fish trap cleanup. This was the cleanup between the Corps of Engineers and the Fiscal Court. And I would encourage everyone in the county to drive up. You probably will have never seen fish trap as clean as it is right now. We're going to work to keep it that way. This court's committed to cleaning up the environment in this county. Ms. Hall was able to secure a $126,000 grant from the 2019 Illegal Open Dump Cleanup Program, and the Corps of Engineers threw in another $13,000 in manpower and equipment. And we've had a lot of volunteers that were up there this weekend for the Pride cleanup. Mr. Jimmy Dale Sanders has worked hard on this. Miss Marie Childers, Miss Betty Brown with the Pride organization, a lot of volunteers. And we want to thank the inmates. We had inmates participating in both cleanup programs, and as Rodney Holbrook, the superintendent of the Fish Trap Lake for the Army Corps of Engineers, said, we couldn't have done this without their help. And there were both men and women inmates there, and we appreciate their service. We appreciate Mr. Brian Morris and his cooperation in his role as jailer to make sure that we had the resources necessary to clean up Fish Trap. We're moving ahead with our policy of stopping illegal dumping. There have been over 60 individuals charged with illegal dumping. Most of those individuals owe delinquent garbage bills, and we appreciate the county attorney's office and the district judges for holding these people accountable and making sure that they recognize what they've done and they're appropriately punished. So we're going to continue to work to clean up our environment. We're going to move forward with the Wolf Pit Industrial site. I have a meeting in 2 weeks on that. We also have another meeting I think on the 29th in Frankfurt with the Department of Local Government with regard to the flood proofing project. The Army Corps of Engineers will be there for that. So we've got a lot of projects on the drawing board, a lot of things to work on. We've got a lot of challenges, but there's a lot of opportunities as well. I thank everyone for being here today. This is the shortest meeting that we've had in the 5 months, 2 hours, and it's been a marathon. So it's about half the time that we normally go. So it's Friday afternoon. We want to wish everyone a happy weekend and enjoy the weather, and hopefully you'll get up to Fish Trap and take a look at that as well. I would like to ask Mr. Brian Booth if he would do the benediction for us today. Amen. I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Now, we could sit here for another 2 hours. We don't want to break our record. We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Yes. Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes, we are adjourned.